Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Package Group Weekly Sync for the 10th of February 2020. I had the first item, just giving everyone a link to the 12.8 async retrospective for when necessary. So that's right there for people. Maybe a reminder for myself as well to get to it a little earlier this time, perhaps. I have a few here, sorry about that. Development bootcamp series, looking for feedback from front end and back end engineers. So I linked to an issue there that people could go in and contribute to if they feel like they have something of value. We have a new community contribution looking for assistance. Let's see. Yeah, I tried to sort of offer some feedback to the person for that contribution. So if someone has a minute to go check that out, that would be good. I still think we need a better way to track that stuff. And I mentioned this in here. Maybe people can get their t-shirt sizes in somehow, DM or private issue in Slack in the team project. Probably one of those two things. Or here is fine. I'm not going to announce that though. So cool. David, go ahead.
Thank you. So I have one last MR for the NuGet MVC. It is currently in maintainer review, but it has a risk to slip out of 12.8 because it's backend and database review. So it is what it is. So we have a slight risk that it might take more than 1 week to have both maintainer reviews. I want to point out that this is only for the Visual Studio client, not for the NuGet or .NET clients, because they don't use the search API. So those are working properly.
Yeah, I'm just asking if I mean, we do want to ship this, but whether that's actually core to the MVC is up to Tim for the most part. So
I think David, this is what you and I spoke about last week. This is a search, and so it may not work from Visual Studio to start if the search isn't enabled.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Yeah, I think we could still ship it as an MVC, and it'll come out on .com soon after, hopefully, and then it'll be available in 12.9. But we still have time. We still have 7 days, so maybe we can cross our fingers and toes and hope. But I think it would still be valuable to get feedback from people using CI or the command line, and not have any problems.
Okay, sounds good. Speaking of NuGet, so the MVC is nearing completion, and I was wondering if you wanted a demo like we did for the Conan package, but I guess I have my answer with all your comments.
Yeah, there's lots of comments for anyone following along at home. There's lots of comments in the agenda document that are very excited about a demo. So maybe schedule something for that.
Yeah, I will schedule a demo and invite you.
Thank you.
For Tim's question, so when can I test? Currently, the last merge request needed for NuGet and .NET is merged, but waiting for deployment. So I guess in a few days, you will be able to test everything out.
Awesome, thank you.
And my last point, I saw a survey running that is collecting feedback on the current code review process. So you might won't be interested into filling that.
Nice. Thanks for sharing that.
Okay, so over to Dan.
Cool. Yeah. Part of what we're doing in this quarter is doing OKRs for managers. In my experience thus far at GitLab, I have not been required to do OKRs. That changed this quarter, so I've created OKRs. I don't know if Darby had a chance to look at all of them last week after I created them. But those are the OKRs I have. If anyone has any feedback or adjustments, we tend to be pretty flexible with OKRs at GitLab. So if people look at it and go, hang on a second, that makes no sense, I would appreciate the feedback to make sense better if that was what people's feedback was. Yeah, so just go check those out and let me know if you see any issues with that. And over to João.
So the tag deletes API improvements may not end in the 12.8 milestone. The container registry MR is taking much longer than I would expect in review, and that's mainly because the maintainer has been away, and then when I went on away as well, I got feedback, but I was only able to reply last week. And now the maintainer is again away, so I had to pass it to another person. So yeah, it took a long time. The only option for this to work is having the container registry MR merged today by another maintainer, and then having the Rails MR reviewed by a maintainer and merged until the end of the week. So it's tight, but still possible.
What can I do to help with this? Is there something like you were both meant to be promoted to maintainers at some point, like last week?
We were already, but the MR was created and assigned to Camille before that happened. And Camille proposed a series of changes because initially what I've done on the container registry MR was just port a change from upstream that wasn't merged on the upstream repository. So I just replicated what was done there, but Camille thought that since we are moving and faster than upstream, and while working on this, maybe we should do something different. So I basically rewrote the changes. It is now complete, but now Camille is on holidays, and he asked me to assign it to another person for review and merge. So that's what I did. And since this is a new feature, I would like feedback from an older maintainer, and it is now with Stan.
Okay. All right. I'll follow up. Okay. I'll see if I can follow up on this one.
Yeah.
As well.
Every concern from Camille has been addressed. So now it's just a matter of getting an okay from Stan, and then proceed with the Rails MR.
Cool.
Okay, that's all, Nico.
Yeah, so I did some writing exercise. I wrote down the consideration and the idea behind the container registry proof of concept. It's still a draft, but anybody can go in and comment. So there's the link. And over to Tim.
Yes, I just was, so the milestone 12.9, the scope is due on the 13th, or yeah, usually we agree by the 13th to the 15th of this week. And I shared the issue that details out what's included and why and what's not. So yeah, just if you could take a look at that, and if we could start considering weighting the issues, that would be great. And this quote is from Jason in the product channel, who's always reminding us when things are due.
That's great. Thanks for doing that, Tim.
No problem.
Are people sorry, just on this subject, are people finding these issues for a milestone helpful? You know, it should form the basis of, okay, we're going to make sure all of those issues are reviewed and weighted and, you know, ready to go, like in workflow ready for development. So if you look at any of those issues that seem like they're relevant to you and they're not any of those things, this is kind of the place to find it. You can go into the milestones board and sort of also see it, but this should give a bit more of a clear breakdown of what each item is and where it sits in terms of the priorities and all that sort of stuff. I'm interested to hear if people are actually finding this format useful, because I find it useful, but that doesn't mean everyone else does.
I find it very useful, like getting that little preview and being able to give feedback and raise any sort of concerns if there are any before the milestone starts.
Is there anything you think I should also include in there that you're like, oh, I wish I would have known this, or I was thinking, yeah.
I'm not sure.
Anything about the Elm charts? Because we
It's
could
not-
start some partial there, right?
Yeah, actually, I think we should talk about that separately, because I'm definitely confused on what's happening on Helm charts, because it feels like there's a bunch of issues open and there's some things that are blocked. Maybe that's worth a separate discussion, but I didn't prioritize anything for that in 12.9.
Which is do we have an epic for the Helm charts, or is it just an issue?
It's an epic.
Can we link to the epic and discuss that there?
I can find it.
Please.
I'll pull it up now.
Do other people find this useful? The milestone issue that Tim's created. I think the first one we did was 12.8. Cool. Thanks, Tim.
No problem.
And the answer no is fine. I don't need people to support this decision or this methodology if it's not something they find useful.
And it's useful and to focus on the priority issues and to have like an overview of what we're planning, because sometimes it's difficult to navigate everything that appears on the boards, on the issue boards. So for me, it's easier to have an issue that I can go through and see what's left to be done and what are the priorities. And yeah, I like it.
Yeah, same for me as well. I think the 12.8 issue is how I found the documentation issue to work on as well. So I just want to echo that it's an easier way of identifying what work can be done, basically.
Cool. Tim, do you know if other teams use an issue for their whole epic? Excuse me, for their milestone?
I don't believe, I don't know for sure, but not that I know of. Just some extra TLC I thought would be helpful.
Would anyone mind if I added this link to like the our Slack channel, like just whatever the top description header thing is for easy access?
Please add it. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess if people are finding this generally useful, maybe what we can do is in 12.10, maybe we put this somewhere public instead of in our private board to, because we sort of trialed it. I think there's a very limited set of things that ought to be in the private board that gives people a little bit of, I know everyone says they disagree with me that it's necessary, and that's wonderful, but like I have that as a place for us to have like psychological safety where people can address concerns without feeling like everyone in the world is watching it. But my intention is that for things that are discussed there, they either are discussed and we address them there when they should be private to the team, or people feel uncomfortable with them being public. But then otherwise they should be public. So are there any concerns about making those issues to discuss what's in a milestone and put them in a public area? Nope. That's a
It
no.
sounds, yeah, it sounds good to me. It's pretty easy to move now too, if we want.
Barely an inconvenience. Yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds good. Yeah, why don't we move those to a public area? That might be a nice place to have other people see what the package group is going to be working on for Milestone. Cool. Okay. Anyone else want to discuss that came up in the meeting today? Nope. All right. So I'm going to stop the recording. If people would like to hang around and chat, they are welcome to. If they would like to get some time back in their day, they could totally do that as well. Otherwise, thank you very much, everyone, for following along at home. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, whatever that looks like. And bye.